Bridgestone is the official tire of the New England Patriots, and Bridgestone tires are now on sale through December 10th at all Sullivan Tire locations. Visit sullivantire.com for a location near you.
Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
I also want to talk about, and I forgot what it was, the blame pie. There's many, many slices on this pie.
I'm going to bring some blame pie to our Thanksgiving show. How about that? We'll have some blame pie.
Yeah.
Kind of pie. People make fun of me all the time. They call me a contrarian. I'm really not a contrarian. I just don't always see things exactly the same way.
Right, you see things contrary to whatever.
No, I don't.
Out here in the service tunnel, you got the one case of Gatorade, case of water, and case of clay. He eats clay.
I got it. It just wasn't that funny.
Wasn't that funny?
Might even get to kiss Tom.
Yeah, I might kiss him on the cheek
Make sure
a
you
little
don't
bit.
make sure you don't get
Just
COVID.
a little bit.
Does the restraining order count in Germany? Is that no?
No, they take my passport away. My parents were school teachers. I was a Pac-10 Offensive Player of the Year. I got an impressive come-from-behind victory against the Vikings that changed the course of that season.
True.
Come on, Paul.
True. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pathetic.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Fueled by Duncan.
All right, welcome into Patriots Unfiltered. It is Thursday here.
It
at
is
Gillette
Thursday, and I
Stadium.
still can't believe I didn't get that yesterday.
It's embarrassing, Paul. That's your guy.
I mean, I do dominate the games,
You do. Well, do you?
but I
History.
not. It's really pathetic.
I know, and
I
then
don't know how I didn't
and
get
then
it.
we were talking Felger piling on your boy yesterday too. I
Oh,
heard that.
that was bad.
That was uncalled for. But we'll
What
get
a,
into
what a troll job that was.
We'll get into that. That's right, guys. It's Deuce covering for Fred. He's in Germany, and if you've seen any of his tweets, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. We saw some cheerleaders there, but also some kind of animal. I don't know. Check his Twitter feed. There's something weird going on there.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going
Not
on with
sure.
Freddie.
German Fred. We got a little taste of it yesterday, but apparently he arrived in Munich and is setting the scene there. I guess we'll have to find out what the mood was there. But for now, it's me and Paul. We'll have Evan joining us shortly. So, it's a long weekend coming up, Paul. We got the bye week. It's a long weekend. Veterans Day tomorrow.
You looking forward to anything over the weekend in terms of the NFL? I mean, whatever you're doing, with Lane and
With
the
your
kids,
yeah.
But are you looking forward to, like, maybe getting a chance to see a team or any particular game or anything?
That's a good question. I'm curious if I would be saying the Minnesota-Buffalo game, but now we're seeing some questions about Josh Allen. Is he going to be able to play with that sprained elbow of his? But two teams obviously coming up on the docket for the Pats. So that was one I'd love to flip on. I'm sure I'll flip on the Germany game in the morning. That's always nice. You get up. You throw
I'm
on a
looking
little
forward
football.
to a Red Zone Sunday. Haven't had one in a while. Didn't get to quite enjoy the last one when we had the Monday night game against Chicago because I had some family things to tend to. But yeah, nothing in particular in terms of the games. And you're right. Like, you can't the Buffalo-Minnesota one would have been, 7-1, 6-2, the two teams that you got coming up on Thursday nights back-to-back after the Jets game. But now it doesn't look like Josh Allen will be playing. So
Yeah, interesting one for Minnesota. I'd be curious just how they do in that environment. I mean, I know Josh Allen's a huge piece of it, but I think we all kind of like you have some great rants about Minnesota lately of just like, I don't get it. How
I think they're a good team.
Good?
Like, people mistake it with, saying like that they suck. And like, no, like if you beat, like I think if Buffalo beats Minnesota, like that's a good win. Yeah. Like they're 7-1. That's a good team. If the Patriots beat them on Thanksgiving night, that's a good win. I just don't think that, I don't think of Minnesota like I think of Buffalo and Philly and Kansas City, maybe even Dallas right now. I think of those teams as being better and more talented. And Minnesota, I think, is, I gave you the stat yesterday. This could be the fourth time in 9 games that they're playing a backup quarterback. Like Miami gave them a run with Skylar Thompson. Miami had a chance with Bridgewater and Thompson in that game. They had a chance in the fourth quarter when I think Bridgewater played the balance of that game, and they had that crosser to Jalen Waddle over the middle, and he was in the clear and he fumbled. Remember?
No.
We were How do you not remember? We were here. We were together, Deuce.
I don't know.
You're supposed to remember things together.
I was paying attention to the Patriots. No.
No, this was after our game was over.
Oh. As lamenting a loss or
probably
celebrating a win, perhaps.
I don't know. I think Minnesota's a good team. I think they should be better. Not record-wise. I think they should be better, like, on the field. Like, it seems like every game they come down to the wire with Detroit and Chicago. I know some of that is like, well, the division games tend to be mucked up a little bit, and you never know. But
they've long been one of those teams I feel like we never have a beat on.
I'll tell you what.
Whenever you pick them, they seem to lose.
If the Vikings, I'll say this, and you know that I think the Patriots are average, right? If the Vikings beat the Patriots on Thanksgiving night, I won't sit there and tell you the Patriots lost to a bad team. I'll say I was wrong about Minnesota. They were better than I thought.
One of those teams that just
because right now, if I had to pick it right now, I'm picking the Patriots to beat the Vikings on Thanksgiving night because I don't believe in the Vikings.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. A lot of talent, though. I mean, Justin Jefferson getting a close look at Fred's guy. Cook, I mean, he had some big runs the last couple of weeks.
And that's provided that all those guys play.
Right, of course. That's
my lone asterisk is they're good players play in the game.
The other thing I'm looking, Paul, there's not a lot of great games this weekend. I mean, I know we got picks at the end, and we will, in fact, hurry. But what else is there really this week? I mean,
if it's just the two of us, we won't have to hurry all that much.
No, we can. Well, I did print out some.
I did get picks from Fred, though.
Okay, good. Yeah. Did anybody else send them in yet?
No one sent them in.
No.
Just Fred.
Come on, people. I did print out, some things. So maybe we'll have.
Oh, you have printouts.
I did printouts. I also got some things. I did a little bit of show prep, Paul. I thought, because I feel like when I sit in this host chair, I get stuck talking too much, and I start going down roads that I don't want to be on. All of a sudden I'm on top of Mount Cooks, and I'm like, how did I end up here?
Was that a day that you hosted?
No, that wasn't, but that's just an example of.
Yeah, you don't want to be on Mount Cooks.
Or any other mount that, like, all of a sudden you realize you're saying something that you don't really want to say, but there's no one really here to talk and break you or tell you you're wrong. And so I did do some show prep. I thought maybe a little later when we can get into this. Thought maybe we could talk a little bit about just the 2023 free agents on the Patriots and, guys that, based on what we've seen in the first half, how we feel about them coming back. Should they retain them? Something like that. Maybe for, when things get slow later in the process. We get Evan in. Yeah. All right. That's okay.
Yeah. No, I'm all for any topic you want to bring up.
All right. Well, it's
soap
like I
of the
said,
slot. I don't care.
We're not going to talk about that today. But, we do Morel's coming in. It's the Marines' birthday today. I don't know if that's related. So I was going to wish the Marines, happy birthday today. And, of course, Veterans Day tomorrow. Matt is a veteran as well. So shout out to all the veterans out there and thank you. And otherwise, Paul, I mean, we got a lot of talk yesterday. We heard from Mac.
That's the one thing that I would sort of, if we could, and I know it's almost impossible, but if we could avoid that,
avoid Mac.
Yeah. No. Well, just the incessant. Is it Mac? Is it the play calling?
Yeah.
Is it the scheme? Is it the offensive line? I think we can all agree it's all of it.
Yeah.
They all deserve, as you said yesterday, part of the blame pie.
I don't want to take us down because you said you don't want to talk about it. But I just wanted to highlight one thing I thought was interesting. Max said yesterday was just I think we got some time today just to look at some of our base stuff and say, hey, this is how I see it, and let's try it like this today at practice. And we did some good stuff at practice just to see how it looks. That kind of, I don't know, it just kind of struck out to me a little bit.
You want to give me that transcript?
Yeah.
I want to read something that I thought was really as Mac can get. I'll have to find it, so we'll have to keep talking. But
well, I'm gonna predict you. It's something similar to what I thought we get with a lot of these press conferences, which is just a word salad.
Oh God!
Of cliches, and you don't really get anything, and that's why that particular quote just stood out to me.
Here we go.
Go ahead, fire away.
Obviously, as an offense, we want to score more points, no more turnovers, and all that. We can control those things, and if we can control it, then we need to take control of it.
Yep.
I'm sorry. What?
I also thought that
just to repeat, we can control those things, and if we can control it, then we need to take control of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
That's your quarterback.
I'll look at that one. The other one was communication most important, and I thought, isn't execution the most important thing? I mean, I hate going through press conferences because I know that you're not getting real answers, and they're not speaking from the heart. I think they're processing the question and then giving you kind of the patriotified version of what they want. But
yeah.
But I just thought that first one I brought up was interesting. We looked at our base stuff. Let's try it like this. I mean, if you're focusing on your base stuff here on this one practice, I don't think you have your base stuff down, right? I would think you should have your base stuff down by this point. I don't want to read too much into it, but we don't have to belabor the Mac of it all. I know.
No, and like you're right to bring up because he spoke yesterday. So you know, I just didn't want to necessarily rehash, but I forgot that he had spoken yesterday because it was so riveting that I forgot about it. But yeah, no, the fact that he addressed the media, nothing. I mean, anything else really stand out to you?
No, just that I had a post-COVID like coughing attack in the middle of the press conference, which was one of like all of a sudden I was like I have to really cough right now. And I couldn't let it out, and my eyes started watering, so I had to like sneak out for a moment. That was my brief.
I had a quick.
You've had some
on Felger Mass.
Yeah,
there was
coughing fit.
Yeah, if I had realized they were that close to taking a break, I probably would have stuck it out. But I like got up on TV and just started walking out as Felger went to break.
It's been a long time since I've had to stifle a cough like that, and like, this is, and especially now in this like current state of like COVID stuff where like it's still like somebody starts coughing all over the place.
And then you get the look like the side eye and like, listen, all right, I tested negative. There's nothing to worry about. I mean, I'm not feeling great, yes, but we got jobs to do. Like we had I had shows to do this week. You can't just like have a show and not be on it.
Nope. And that's and apparently, I mean, we're here, but no one else is yet.
Correct. I mean, Fred's in Germany.
He's got an excuse. No, I'm sure the girls are out there working somewhere, doing something. And like I said, Evan will be down. He just had to listen to Matt Patricia. So we did hear from some of the coaches today, not all of them.
Yeah. Anything stand out to you today? I did not listen to.
I was.
Anything.
So me and Evan cut it up, and he was on the offensive coaches, and I went with the defensive coaches. So I listened to Steve Belichick and Gerard Mayo, and I thought there was some fun stuff from Gerard Mayo. The media continues to ask about calling out the plays, and so they asked Gerard about that, who I would think Gerard Mayo of all these guys is probably a guy that was one of those guys calling out the plays back when he was involved. But he kind of went into not depth, but just talking about different calls that you might have, and if they're yelling out something like, what was it? I'm blanking right now. Something like Rita or words that start with R, and then or if they're calling something like airplane, you're probably thinking it's a pass, but then you also will have kill words. You'll have there he is. You'll have kill words as well. So if I say Brown in front of it, then that means don't listen to what I'm saying. But the interesting thing was somebody asked him, who was your favorite to go up against, and he said Tom Brady in practice. He said that was a lot of fun trying to challenge him and how competitive he was, and it's a daily thing of trying to fool him and him trying to get around us. So I don't know, that was a little bit. And Evan is here. Evan, welcome to the show.
Hello.
We got a three-man crew here today. You were on the offensive coaches though.
Yes.
I'm assuming you got a little of Matty P and Joe J.
We did.
Joey J and Matty P.
How many
any
times
highlights?
do you thank you for your question today, Maddie Patricia?
I always got a big smile on
Kill him
his
with
face,
kindness.
right?
Kill him with
Right?
kindness.
I mean, I think some people tried to get some real answers out of Judge and Patricia. Phil Perry asked Judge about the route timing and just the overall rhythm of the passing offense and things like that, and kind of thought Judge took a little bit of a cop-out answer, and he was like, well, different plays are designed to hit at different times, so I don't really know what you're talking about specifically, and stuff like that. I thought Bedard kind of went after. I should rephrase that. Bedard asked Patricia about Mac's progression, and he said, look, fans are going to hear you say that Mac's gotten better and be like, where? How? Like, what? Based off of what? Right? And, I think he kind of pointed to some of the similar things that Belichick did, which are, less turnovers in recent weeks and managing the game and things like that. And, he's not going to throw his quarterback under the bus and say, oh, he hasn't been playing well. So obviously he's going to say some of those things. But I thought probably the most interesting quote that we got, I asked Troy Brown about the route spacing on offense, and as a receivers coach, obviously that's kind of his number one thing probably right now on his list, and I could tell it was something that is being talked about a ton within the walls this week. And he just said that they need to look like a professional football team on offense. Yeesh. And when he said that, I kind of, your ears perk up and you're like, yeesh. I mean, a professional football team. That's
an indictment.
Not really what I was expecting him to say, to go that far. So, needless to say, the issues with the timing or the spacing of the passing game right now, I think the coaches are obviously saying way, way worse to the players about how they looked on Sunday to the Colts, against the Colts, than what we're saying on this show or what you hear anywhere else, because it's clear that Troy Brown is very unhappy with the way that receivers are running routes right now.
It's really interesting.
That is interesting. Well, I don't really know where to start, because you're only getting production out of Jacoby Myers right now, and that's like, I can understand.
Yeah.
Just the overall frustration of no one else is really producing right now, and as we kind of said, it feels like we just know now we can't dissect this whole engine and figure out exactly the three things. It's a little bit of everything, and that seems like where we're going to leave this conversation off this week.
And that's what makes it hard,
because
it's hard to fix it if basically everything needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
All the things that Evan talked about yesterday with the schemes and the route combinations and the timing and then the blocking up front and all that stuff. And Mac himself is not seeing it as well for whatever reason. He's looking one way, not the other. The running game is sort of stuck in neutral all of a sudden since that Detroit game. It's really kind of been blah ever since. So it'd be easy to just say, well, Mac's got to play better. Mac plays better, the offense will play. Yeah, and largely that's true. The quarterback plays well. Everything else will look a little bit better, but it's hard for him to play discernibly better if all those other things don't get addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two things I would point to are, one, blocking. Like, if you block better, then everything's going to look better. The run game's going to look better. The pass game's going to look better if Mac has more time and is more comfortable in the pocket. So stabilizing the offensive line and settling on a five-man combination, I think, is really key during this week. Now, injuries play a role, right? David Andrews gets a concussion and he can't play, so you have to put in a backup at that point at center. But Dante Scarnecchia always talks about, and I know they have it up in the offensive line room on the wall, seeing it through the same set of eyes. That's like their big thing in the O-line room, is that all five guys have to see the protection, see the blocking scheme through the same set of eyes. Well, it's hard to do that when guys are coming in and out and there's no chemistry and there's no continuity up there. So at this point, we know David Andrews is coming back. He's back at practice, cleared from concussion protocol, it seems, and will be back against the Jets. So put what you think is your best five out there on the offensive line. And just like last year when Ted Karras ended up coming in for Onwenu and everybody was like, what the hell is going on? They stuck with that five-man combination the rest of the way. And that's what you got to do. The second thing about spacing, I think goes into another conversation, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think is their best five-man combination, because that's a difficult thing to answer.
That's a good topic, Mike.
Yeah, there we go. We got one. I think I'd go back to win. I'd go back to what you started with. I mean, I as much as I want to think that Yodny Kajust is the, great hope to save the right tackle spot, I think coming back out of the gate, go back to what you originally started with. I mean,
would you give any thought to flipping the tackles again?
I think
or do you think you're too far gone?
I think so. Based off of PFF's charting, Trent Brown right now has the hardest assignment of any tackle in football. So they're basically leaving him one-on-one on the backside of every single play. And they're just
they got to help everybody else.
Right, and they're just trusting him to block one-on-one every single time they drop back to pass, and he's done largely a good job with it. So to move Wynn back over there, you have to reconfigure how you're distributing the blockers, because they're doing that to save Cole Strange, right? Like they're doing
Cole Strange going to help Isaiah Wynn on the left side.
Right. They're doing that so that David Andrews can help
Cole
Strange.
And that's probably a good reason not to. In and of itself, because I do think Trent Brown's a better player than Isaiah Wynn. I mean, obviously this year he's playing better. There's no argument there, but I think in general.
Yeah, I think I would just comment real quick. I mean, the thing that scares me just is Wynn and Strange next to each other. I mean, I think defenses are looking at that being like, oh boy, let's go get those guys.
Do you think, and I think Greg wrote about this earlier in the week with regard to Cole Strange, do you guys think that Bill is maybe not helping him as much by taking him out? Like, you just kind of.
I think that's another reason. Hit the reset button.
Go
put
with
him
the
back
ebbs and flows, and understand there's going to be some struggles.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, what else? What else can you do? I mean, I do like the fact sometimes they don't force a point, and to that you have a first-round left guard. He's not playing well. I'm sure there's, some kind of motivation to leave him in there to be like, if we pull him, everyone's going to give us crap, but we missed on our first-round pick. So, I mean, I do give them credit for, pulling a weak link, but I think you're right. I think it's a management thing of, keeping a young player on, letting the young player know that there's going to be ebbs and flows and, trying to give him, like we kind of talked about with Mac, when Mac would come out and, maybe he's going to get a bigger picture of things and, that will allow him then to, get over some of the stuff that he's doing. I don't know. I mean, I to be honest, I think it's going to continue to be up and down with Cole Strange until you get him a full off season and start to, put a little weight on him, get him a little bit stronger, have him, try in year. I have higher expectations in year 2, but I think overall my expectations right now are just. It's really hard for me to say. I think it's all going to work out in the second 8 games. I think they're going to figure it out. I'm struggling to get there right now, and I don't want to say that means that I think they're dead meat. But
no, I don't think they're dead meat.
Well, I do think it's weird that DeForest Buckner going around Cole Strange and forcing a little bit of an errant throw on third down was like the breaking point for them with Cole Strange.
Like their best player.
Because it keeps on – that has been something – his over-aggressiveness or his eagerness to come out and just smack the guy across from him has been something that's been going on since week 1 with Cole Strange. If there's one thing that I'd have to point to and say – this is something that he's got to fix. It's, he's just coming out of his stance and he's trying to just go right into people. And sometimes they
use it against him.
They use it against him, right? And that's been going on all season. So why was Sunday against an all-pro defensive tackle in DeForest Buckner who beats everybody that he lines up across from every week? Like, why was that the point where they were like, nope, can't have it?
And I mean, even tie it back to the Jets game, too. I mean, it's the same kind of thing.
Right.
Like, another player who's like playing like a defensive player of the year right now. That's a good point.
But I think I like the point, but I also would wonder about the coaching and how much, if you're pointing to something very specific that he's doing.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say, for argument's sake, that this is what they're hammering to him, and he continues to do it wrong. So what does that make him, Mike?
Error repeater. So at some point, the only way that you can get it through to these guys is to take away playing time.
Sure.
I don't know that that's happening. I'm just,
Right. Well, that's
I had
this
conversation with him at his locker in like week 2 or 3, and I was like, "How do you balance being aggressive but not too aggressive?" And he looked at me and he was like, "That's the number one question." And I was like, yeah, that. So clearly that's.
So maybe he's just struggling with that. And
that's the coaching point, right? That's the thing that they've really been harping on all the way back to September. So at right tackle, though, I do think you have to take a long look at it and say, what's more important to us, Mike Onwenu's long-term development or getting this thing back on the tracks this season? Because he's the best right tackle on the roster. And I don't think it's particularly close. Now, maybe you look at it and say, we want to make right guard his home. We've moved him around for the first 2 years. We want to stop messing with him. Yeah. Maybe they look at it and say, we have a pocket quarterback and we'd rather the shelf, right, the interior 3 be solid and worry about the tackles. Maybe that's the way that they look at it. But for a month now, right tackle has been a turnstile for them that has killed their passing game in a lot of situations. Yep. In the first half against the Colts, they have big plays down the field open for Mac Jones to hit, and the pressure off the right side is in his face, and he can't throw it, or he airmails the throw to Ramondre on the wheel route. Like, this is all because of right tackle. So I think that guard is going to stabilize itself with David Andrews coming back. I really do. It's that tackle spot that there just doesn't seem to be an answer on this roster for that spot right now, because Marcus Cannon, even before he got hurt, gave up 8 hurries against the Jets, so he wasn't
playing well at all.
No.
Right?
I mean, I think there's a lot. That to me remains. I think one of the few things that on this show we all agree on is that's the biggest problem, right? I mean, they got to figure that out. I don't know if you move Wade inside and you get Freddie's, Pro Bowl guard thing going. I don't know if that would happen.
Like at right guard. That's what's a little bit intriguing to me of just, maybe I think flipping the tackles back, you're kind of too unsecure on the left side with Wynn and Strange over there. But if you were to flop, maybe put Onwenu at right tackle, slide Wynn in the right guard, then
That's sort of the configuration I would like to see.
Yeah.
Make a move.
Win at right guard, because his issues at right tackle are that his footwork's all thrown off because he's switching sides. But on the inside, you don't need to get to that landmark as far out as you do at tackle. So he's not having to explode out of his stance and cut off the corner at right guard. So he doesn't have to get as much depth out of his stance on the interior as he does on the tackle spot. So that would be what I would do. I would put Trent Brown at left tackle, Cole Strange at guard, Andrews at center, Win at right guard, Onwenu at right tackle. Like, I think that's your best 5 configuration, but they're just messing so much with Onwenu again that I just don't know if they'll go there. And I think they might rather just roll with Yadni Kajust or Marcus Cannon when he comes back and try to work around the fact that they have a hole at right tackle versus shoring up that hole and maybe creating a hole at right guard.
Can we transition into some fullback talk too? I know that's been another point. Evan and I were kind of talking about it. I think Greg was saying,
is that what you guys talk about upstairs when I'm not around?
We talk ball. Bunch
of nerdy stuff.
No, but I Bedard, I think, was somebody who said, oh, they need the fullback, and and I don't know if, like, schematically I feel like they need the fullback, but the one thing I do think that this team kind of lacks is attitude from, like, the tight ends and the fullback. Like, there isn't really a gritty, mean blocker. And I know this is like a stupid kind of, like, character thing, but I don't think that they're a tough team with their skill position players. There's nobody, like, Gronk was Gronk. Devlin was, it just, even when you had, what's his face, the last fullback.
Jakob Johnson.
It's an element of toughness to the offense. And I've been watching, and I think Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith have had some moments as blockers, maybe fewer than good, more bad than good. But neither one of those guys is a dog blocker kind of guy. So I don't know. It kind of feeds into overall. It just kind of feels to me the offense is a little bit soft.
I do wonder, less about the mentality. I get what you're saying. I wonder more about what Evan was talking about yesterday in terms of the impact of sending a fullback through the middle. I think that's how you explained it.
Yeah.
When you were talking about play action and stuff.
Like the under center stuff without a fullback is giving them all sorts of problems, because the difference between a fullback and a tight end is that the fullback can go either direction, right? So the tight end is lined up on one side of the formation. So you either have, even if you're in 12, you either have a 2 formation side, really a 4 man surface on one side or a 3-man surface on one side. But that tight end is basically stuck on that side of the formation, whereas a fullback has a 2-way go, right? He could go left or he could go right. So you're able to make surfaces, 3-man becomes a 4-man, or a 3-man becomes a 4-man on the right side. And that allows you to be able to block some of these things and get hat on a hat a little bit easier.
It's a little simplistic, but did you ever watch a game and, sometimes they'll do those, like, the read options and whatnot, and you're like, they fake it, and you're like, oh, if he gave it to him, like, there was a huge hole there, right? It's kind of like that, though. Like, the lead fullback sometimes is met because they're not as willing to say, oh, no, it's not coming this way. Like, someone's got to address that fullback and just not ignore him. So I do think that there's an element of, when you want to try to set those plays up, it's a little bit easier to do it, and I'm not a huge fullback. You know that.
I know.
I'm not Andy. I'm not Andy.
This is math, though, right? It's literally just math.
Math, exactly. And it's not like I'm saying, like, because I'm not a huge fullback guy, I don't need to have a fullback on the field 87% of the snaps.
Right.
But to just go from what they've done the last couple of years and then just decide we're not going to have a fullback as part of our offense this year, to the point where they told Johnson that. Yeah. And they just completely changed entirely the way they – I thought that was a massive alteration that didn't need to be made like that, like black and white.
Right, and if you're going to make it, then make it. Like, you can't be an under-center team without a fullback. Like, I'm sorry, it's really hard to do. And certain teams that are really good at scheming it, like the Rams. The Rams are an 11 personnel team. They don't use a fullback, and they're just really good at scheming up the run game without one by using motion and different types of blocks like that. But what they're asking the O-line or the tight ends in the O-line to do on these run plays from under center is basically they need to hit a combination block somewhere. Somewhere a guard has to hit a guy on the line of scrimmage and then go up to the linebacker level, because otherwise the linebacker is just unblocked at the second level of the defense. And if that linebacker recognizes run, like Shaq Leonard being in the huddle, right, and he recognizes that it's run, then he's triggering downhill so quickly that you can't make that combination block. So that's the issue that they're having, is that they're running from under center. They're running into 4 guys on the defense, and they have 3 guys to block 4. And there's just not enough blockers on that side unless you really get those combination blocks up to the second level, which is hard to do. So
you think I don't listen to you? I listen to you.
It's really an interesting. What I was saying was, if you're not going to have a fullback, then you need to be a gun team. You need to be in the shotgun.
And I do think that was what they planned on.
Right, and the offensive line fell apart.
And then the quarterback got hurt, and they started to do some other things because they had to, and then they had some success with some of those other things, and 100%. They were like, oh, maybe we were a little hasty. Now you're kind of left without the personnel to do what ostensibly you've done best this year.
It doesn't even fit the quarterback, right? The quarterback is Mac Jones's numbers from under center going back to the start of last season. I pulled these earlier this week because I made this exact point in a post that I wrote about the offense. He's been a bad under center passer for 2 years now. It's just not something he's comfortable with because he didn't do it much at Alabama, and he's a spread quarterback. So you don't have a fullback. You have a quarterback that's more comfortable in the gun. Like, this is why I always talk about RPOs all the time.
What are we doing?
Right? Like, this is why I always harp on RPOs, is because if you're going to be a gun team, then you have to run RPOs. That's the way that you get play action off.
If you had the first half hour for the RPO call,
there it is.
You lose 31 minutes in.
Got it.
Well, 855-PATS-500. Love to hear from you guys today. Send us an email, webradio@patriots.com. We're fine, right? Matt Morell is back. Matt, happy birthday to the Marines, of course.
Thank you.
And happy Veterans Day tomorrow to you. Thank you
absolutely.
for your service. And everyone
Marine
out
Corps
there.
green today, if you can't tell.
There you go. Well, I figured you were out just getting wasted before the show or something. I know the celebrations get a little crazy there for the Marines.
It'll be tonight. Drinking during Black Panther.
I thought he was going to say something like, "No, we couldn't get hammered. We're busy protecting the country."
Right. That's what they do. Well, let's.
The only way to protect the country's hammered.
Well, let's hop to Melvin real quick here to kick things off. Hey, Melvin, what's going on?
What's up, y'all?
What's up, y'all? What's going on?
Thursday show. Yeah.
Paul heard that you stealing my stuff.
I did.
That's cool. I got you. I was gonna say it anyway. But general question, I guess. Just get back to. I got a question about Justin Herbert. Do you think that he's in a situation, and almost similar to like Phillip Rivers, that really good quarterback, whatever it is like that. He's in the AFC, looking up with a couple of contenders, with of course Kansas City and the Bills. That he'll be a really good quarterback, but I don't know if he'll ever get over the hump because the other people around him, even he's like the second tier, right, with the Lamar Jacksons and maybe even Joe Burrow, that little range. But I don't know if he'll ever have the supporting cast around enough.
I know what you're
coaching
asking
and stuff like that to break
I
through.
wonder about him. I think he's obviously ridiculously talented. But I do wonder two things. One, if the Chargers are just one of those teams that always finds a way to get, 6 or 7 guys that are really important hurt, which they do every year.
Offensive line.
And it's happened again.
Keenan Allen hamstrings.
But beyond that, with just Herbert himself, and I will be fully upfront. I love watching the guy play. I think he's amazingly talented. I just feel like there might be something missing. And I go back to Oregon with him. Like, I watched him. You don't watch college football. So Barth would be able to answer this question.
I watched a lot of Herbert tape though, in the draft.
The very first game of his last year at Oregon, they played at Auburn.
Yeah.
Oregon was as much better than Auburn as a team could be. Herbert looked absolutely dominant. You look up at the end of the game, and they lost. Some guys just have that. Like, I'm better than you. My team's better than yours, but at the end of the day, your team somehow had more points than mine. And I'm not saying it was Herbert's fault, because I don't think it was. I remember the game, and it wasn't Herbert's fault that they lost. But things kind of happen.
It's kind of anti-Brady.
It's the anti-Brady.
Yeah.
Like, weird things kind of happen. And I watch Herbert play, and I'm like, That's not a 9-8 team. Like, he's too good to be like 8-9, 9-8 every year. Why? And I don't think it's necessarily him, but I just think bad things happen.
Do you think that coaching style feeds into it?
I think the coaching style is part of it. Yeah.
Along the lines of the bad things, he actually leads the league in pick sixes since entering the NFL.
I think we got one. Didn't Adrian Phillips get one off him a couple of years
And
ago?
it's just kind of like one of those things where like that guy leads the league in pick sixes. Like, he's ridiculously talented. How does Justin Herbert, how is he making these mistakes, right? Like, it's weird. And he's also this year near the bottom of the league in average depth of target. So, like, one of the biggest arms in the league is not throwing the ball down the field.
This year in particular has been a little bit different. He's lost, he's lost some of his pillars up front. I mean, Rashawn Slater.
Keenan Allen hasn't played in forever.
Keenan Allen is, he's been a bit part because he's been out all year. They've lost, they tried to redo the defense. They've lost some of the pieces there. Around here, everybody points to J.C. Jackson. It's been a mess. But they're still like 5-3, right?
I know.
So they're still kind of in it. I don't know. I really like Justin Herbert.
Me too.
But I don't know how many years I'm going to go before I sound like one of those guys that just refuses to admit that maybe he's not as good as I thought. Because I just am just blown away by the ability.
Phil Rivers is a good comp. I mean, he's obviously the quarterback that was there before.
But if he can do what Phillip Rivers did, then I'll say that he fulfilled it. Because Phillip Rivers was really good for a lot of years, and they got to conference. They never got over the hump.
Right.
This guy can't get into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's fair.
He'll keep getting chances though. Hey, thanks, Melvin. He's got to keep getting chances though. I mean, just with the arm, the size.
There's a throw that he made.
Walks in, quarterback.
And I know, like, these are the kinds of things, like, when I argue with my boy Felger. Like, Felger doesn't, like, arm talent. He scoffs at that kind of
yeah, yesterday he was arguing with Drew Bledsoe versus
Mac
Jones.
You heard me, right?
Don't bring it up, Evan.
It
was all for an audience of one. Paul Perillo driving the tickets.
I swear to God he was trolling me.
Yeah.
But
he
I had
doubled down later in the show.
I had my text guys, my baseball guys, text me and goes, I've never seen Paul so mad. I thought he was going to go over the table at Felger. And if I wasn't, like, fighting a cold, I may have. He actually said the following sentence in the middle of the argument that he was having with me. The only thing that Bledsoe did better than Mac Jones is throw.
So play quarterback.
He's a quarterback. They're both quarterbacks. The only thing that the guy I argued for was better at is passing the ball. Like,
just that. Just that. That's the only thing. Not running.
Yeah, Herbert makes some throws where, like, he's on the far hash and he throws it into the cover 2 hole on the opposite side of the field.
He had one about 3 weeks ago that they kept showing, and
I'm just like,
oh my God.
Are you kidding?
And that's why I think, like, he's there for the long haul. Some players, some quarterbacks, I get the debate. I mean, Daniel Jones maybe one. I know he's a
Daniel Jones can be debated.
But but you look at Herbert and you're like, this guy. Like, how do you let that guy?
And
walk?
I also don't discount the rib problem too, which is like, think about playing
that's a
quarterback with broken, whatever.
I just look at Herbert
fractured cartilage or whatever it was.
What does Josh Allen have that Herbert doesn't from, like, a physical tools perspective?
Right.
So
I would argue that
maybe
Herbert's probably a better athlete.
Not to take anything away from Josh Allen because he's awesome, but like the way that Brian Dable brought him up, and then Stephon Diggs comes along, and, like, the way that Buffalo developed.
I agree with you, and I love Josh Allen.
Right.
I love watching him play, but in terms of just pure skill, like, Herbert's probably even more skilled than Josh Allen.
I think Josh Allen's just got that, like, runaway freight train in him that he likes to, like, run guys over, and I've never seen that kind of edge out of Herbert.
No, but he's faster. He's probably a smoother athlete, faster.
That was the one, like, psyche knock on him coming out, was that he's kind of
left coast.
Yeah, kind of a California boy.
And that's why I say, after, I don't know how many years it will be. It'll be a long time before I cut ties because I'm pretty stubborn, as you might know.
Yeah.
But that's what I would wonder about him. Does it mean enough?
It's not quite Jay Cutler
No,
territory,
no.
but like we're
Smoking Jay.
That's like what the knocks about him coming out were, is that it just okay.
And then you end up at the Chargers where you're sharing a stadium. I mean, when he first got there, they didn't even they were in limbo, I think, initially, weren't they? Maybe they just made the deal, but either way, you're kind of the B team in LA that doesn't really care unless you're really good, and then everybody cares. But if you're average, everybody's kind of like, eh.
Yeah, you would know more than us, and I agree with you.
Yeah, that was That was bad. We got some emails stacking up here. So why don't I read some, perhaps?
Oh, sorry. Why don't you read some?
I'm dying over here. Sean from Pocatello, Idaho. I hope I said that right. He's
Pocatello.
Pocatello.
I've been there.
Sean, really?
Believe it or not.
Oh, with your lady when you're driving back?
Yes.
Oh, all right. I know.
Rode a horse in Donnelly, Idaho, not too far away from there.
What was that like?
It's the only time I've ever. I needed that. That was good.
Paul on a horse?
Yeah.
Giddy up!
I don't even want it. That mental image is
Wait,
weird.
what was that? You guys were like driving back and
On
you
a
saw-
ranch.
and
Yeah,
you're
well,
like, hey,
her-
let's stop at the ranch and ride horses.
Her sister lives there.
Oh.
We stayed overnight
She's like
at
a
her sister's house.
farm girl.
Yeah.
The sister.
Yeah.
Anything? Did you do any milk any cows or anything? Or?
No.
No, just.
I had all I could do to be on a horse and not kill myself. It was like one of the most stressful hours of my life.
It's scary. It's scary. My dad, we went to Dude Ranch in Arizona when I was a kid, and my dad was like slipping like the guys like 20s to like take us out on private things. Like I'd never ridden a horse before, and then the cowboy guy just all of a sudden's like, "All right, let's go," and he just starts giddying up, and I'm like, ah! I started screaming because I was about to fall off into like the briar patch. It was scary. Sorry. Thank you, Matt. That's
a lot
pretty
of
good.
horse talk.
Horse though. We just did play the Colts. Good. So email here. This 2013. He's been listening since 2013. That was the year picked up Amendola, the next Wes Welker, Aaron Dobson, the next Randy Moss, Kembrell Tompkins, Josh Boyce, parentheses. This was a hard season to watch offensively. Amendola was hurt within the first few games. Gronk had surgery out almost whole season. We did discover Julian Edelman. Had so many crazy twists and turns that became hooked on PFW and hearing everyone's insights. Sorry. My question is, with how bad our offenses look this season and the last 2 weeks with Mack as starter again, do you think there is still a possibility that Bill goes back to Zappe at some point this season? That's for you, Evan.
We're doing this again.
He's got the stats too. I can lay them out for you if you
No,
want.
I don't need the stats against the Lions and the Browns. Thank you. I really thought that the last 6 drives against the Bears was gonna do enough to.
Just so you know, I had a little of this conversation yesterday too, and the only thing people really remember about the Bears game are the first 2 drives that Zappe
So
played.
they comes into the game, they change up what they're doing offensively because Zappe's in the game. They actually call some good plays and pull out some good schemes against Chicago. And then when the 2 plays that they had up their back pocket for that moment, when Zappe came in the game, run out, what did the rest of it look like?
But I would even say, I would have been more impressed if they were actual drives. I give Zappe credit. He came off the bench. They're down 10-0.
Right.
He 2 touchdowns, but they were basically 2 plays.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But it wasn't even like they went 6 yards, 8 yards, 10 yards, 3rd down, hit conversion. No, it was 2 bombs. They completed 2 bombs, and that's how they scored the 2 touchdowns. And again, I'm not taking credit away from him. He doesn't lose credit because they only scored on explosive plays. I don't take any credit away. But to Evan's point, when the explosive plays disappeared, they had nothing. They never even crossed the 50-yard line.
Right.
In the second half. Was it 6 drives?
I think it was 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
I pulled that off the top of my head.
All right. So 5 or 6 drives.
Right. You
just go nebulous when you don't have it exact.
The numbers for Zappe against the Lions and the Browns are so ridiculously stupid that it has to just be a Lions or Browns thing. I am not convinced that Bailey Zappe against the Jets defense would have put up 17 yards per attempt off of play action. I'm just not convinced that's sustainable.
Yeah, I tried this yesterday to my boy Tony. I was like, you don't think there's a difference between playing the worst defense in football and one of the 3 best? I go, do you really think Zappe would have an over 100 passer rating still if he had to play the Jets and the Colts the last 2 weeks? I don't know. Yeah. I'm like, okay. If we can't be intellectually honest, then what are we doing?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Interesting little question here from Sean O. in East Taunton. Are we underestimating the absence of Brian Hoyer for Mac Jones in this offense? How big of a role was it having Hoyer on the sideline to assist Mac and Judge breaking things down? I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, I know he's been still around the building.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you guys, because I almost asked Bill at the press conference last Friday, and I didn't want to because I'm not at every press conference, and I didn't know if that had been addressed. Has he been asked about Hoyer's whereabouts?
He's been around. We've seen him poking around, practice and things like that during media windows.
Poking around.
Right.
Hiding behind trees.
Hello.
I haven't seen him on the sideline, but I also haven't looked closely on the sideline to see if he's in street clothes or sweatsuit or whatever on the sideline. But I guess it's possible. I don't know. I mean, I think you'd have to ask Mac and get an
Because
honest
he's
answer on
eligible
that.
to be activated, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
he should
can
be at
practice
this
at any
point.
point. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, if you talk about if I mean, I just see maybe Hoyer as a sounding board that Mac maybe has some kind of. I don't want this to imply that he doesn't trust or truly believe in Matt Patricia, but I think he has a little bit more close one-on-one history with Hoyer, and I think sometimes when quarterbacks speak quarterback to each other, it's just it's outside of the coach speak, even regardless of how you feel about the coaches. So I don't know. I think it might be an interesting thing going forward, just a quality guy to have back on the sidelines. Let's go back to the phones here. We got Eldred coming in hot. Hey, Eldred, what's going on?
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing today?
Good.
Love the show, especially the open topic. Hey, Evan.
Yes, sir.
Speaking about the line, concepts, the line block, this 3 and 4. Don't they have to do with the play caller and the offensive line coach? If they ain't never did it before, they don't know how. Instead of somebody just giving them the nod to do it.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I think all that's a factor in all of this, but at the end of the day, it's personnel, right? I mean, do you have a tight end that's a dominant blocking tight end like a Gronkowski? Do you have an offensive line that's capable of making those interior combination blocks I was talking about? I think a lot of it is they draw it up on the whiteboard and it looks like it should work, and then you get into a game and it's not hitting the way that they want it to hit. So maybe that's the coaching asking too much out of individual players, but at the end of the day, I do also think some of the onus is on the players to go out there and execute what's being called.
I agree with that to some extent, but you also got to teach that. But if you can't teach that, you got what you got.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But then again, like I said, everything's possible. Maybe they turn around after the bye. Maybe they won't, but I'm just hoping. And Evan, I want to thank you again. You agreed me once a while back because you cut me down about it ain't the coordinators, it's Mac. Then all of a sudden you were Mac Politics coordinating the game, and you want to see with a real coordinator and this and that. I said that the first week. You told me no.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, no, you're.
But thank y'all.
We all evolve.
Thanks, Eldred.
I mean, I don't remember the first time that coming up, but just I'll continue down that road forever. I mean, I think all these people that are out there that are saying Mac isn't the guy, we need to give up on Mac Jones. There's so few quarterbacks I think that would survive in this environment. There's so few, and that's not to make excuses for Mac Jones. It's just to look at it and just look at your own division. Look at what Buffalo has done for Josh Allen. Look at what Miami has done for Tua. There was a lot of people down in Miami with Tua that were saying, first 2 seasons, I'm not sure about this guy. I don't know if this guy's it. The arm strength hasn't come back to where it was pre-hip injury, and he's not making throws down the field, and it's all very, very limited what we're able to do with him. And a lot of the same things that people say about Mac Jones, and next thing you know, they get him a wizard in Mike McDaniel, they trade for Tyreek Hill, and now he's the best passer in the league, right? So it's kind of like what we were talking about yesterday, Mike, when you said, well, how much of an environment do you have to create for Mac Jones to succeed? Yes, you do have to create a cushiony environment for Mac Jones. He's not transcendent. He's not going to just take over an offense and make it his and be able to mask a bad offensive line or mask average skill players or mask below average or average coaching, whatever you want to call it. He does need more help than that. And I think that that's true for 99% of quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, you just look at Miami, you look at Philadelphia now with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, no one thought Jalen Hurts was going to be this good. Nobody.
Certainly not us at
I was going to say,
joint
Mike,
practices. We were
remember what we used to talk about?
He looked like Daniel Jones. I mean, the best plays that they made in those joint practices were Jalen Hurts running around. And he looks fast. He can't hit a pass,
Right,
though.
and then now, Nick Sirianni comes in. He designs an offense around his strengths. They trade for A.J. Brown. They draft Devontae Smith in the first round. And now all of a sudden he's an MVP candidate. And I don't know how you can see these things happening around the league and not conclude that these quarterbacks are getting the proper help from the organization that they need. And then look at Mac Jones's situation, and it's basically the same cast of characters that he had around him last year, and Matt Patricia calling plays and running the offense instead of Josh McDaniels, and he's regressed.
I mean, that's all fact.
Yeah. What's changed?
There's probably nuance in there that we've talked about a million times before, but that's all fact.
Yeah.
You can't argue that he hasn't been given what some of these other young quarterbacks have been given.
And and I guess we got to see. I mean, I'm with you guys though. I think he's their kind of guy, and I think they're going to stick with him. And I think there's going to be a lot of questions about this year, about quarterbacks and all that. I mean, at least until you give him protection. I don't feel like you really have given him a fair chance.
It's also just like, where do you get an upgrade from? Because it's not going to come in the draft. Because I think Hurts is probably the last guy that you can think of that slipped to the second round that had great natural talent that slipped because of concerns about him as an actual passer, right? He's a great athlete, he can throw the ball a mile, but is he actually going to develop the processing skills and the accuracy?
Yeah.
So he slips to the second round. Dak, I guess.
No,
right?
That's the last guy that has succeeded. Now, there's been some other young guys that slipped with the same kind of thing. A guy like Malik Willis.
Right.
Now, who knows?
Right.
Now, so far they haven't even let him throw.
Right.
So we have no idea. But yeah, to your point, maybe there's a guy, like Kellen Mond, 2 years ago. Like,
like a competition.
I wasn't
kind of
a huge Kellen Mond guy, but there are some skills there that you could say, well, with coaching we can do X, Y, and Z, and it's not necessarily taking you a top 15 pick to get that guy. I think Willis was in the third round, even, right?
Later, I think he went after Bailey Zappe.
Okay, so he went after.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought he was.
That's the.
I thought
NFL.
he was third round, and those are the only two guys was Pickett and Willis before.
I could have sworn because when they had that NFL thing where they call Bailey Zappe, they had cameras at his house, and Bill calls Bailey Zappe and says, "We're picking you." His agent says, like, you got drafted before Malik Willis, in the video.
Okay.
So I believe that's the order it went in, but. It just happens so
let's take that.
Between.
Let's take that. And what would you guys like? Would you rather have taken a flyer in the fourth round on Malik Willis than Bailey Zappe? Like you were going to take a quarterback.
Yeah. I say no because I think that they envisioned Bailey Zappe as being like a Brian Hoyer-esque backup that can be Mac Jones's backup and have a similar skill set so that if he does go down just like this year, you're not reinventing the wheel on the fly to fit a quarterback that's a mobile quarterback versus a pocket passer. I think they thought that Mac was the guy, and they had their backup and starter for at least the next 4 years under rookie contracts, and that is a great setup if it works out.
Yeah. Let's go back to the phones. Dwayne is in Boston. Hey, Dwayne, what's going on?
Hey, I have a question for you guys.
Fire away.
When I see Mac Jones, I've called it before. He looks like Colt McCoy to me lately. Feel like he looks a little worse, maybe more like Trent Dilfer. My question is, do you think that if Mac does not improve and the offense doesn't improve, but they can avoid turnovers, is there a way that the defense could lead us to some playoff win?
Yeah, I think we thanks, Dwayne. I mean, I think it's a question we talked about a lot. I mean, it's just the teams are too good. There's too many good offenses. I just, as much as I want to think you can beat Buffalo with, oh my gosh, we held them to 3 points. Like, it's just, that seems like ridiculous. Like, it just doesn't seem possible. I mean, at the very least, you just need an offense that, like you said, doesn't turn the ball over and can finish in the red zone. Like, I mean, I think if you have those two things, you might be okay. But they're not even really close to those things yet. I mean, they're just scratching the surface of the turnover stuff, and the red zone remains, like, near the bottom of the league. I mean, you're getting stopped at the second, 2 or 3 yard line. It's just, that those kind of things speak more to me than just, like, this is a problem, with execution. It's just, like, that to me is like a mentality of you get to that 2 yard line, and you're not going to be denied offensive line, et cetera, et cetera.
I think it looks at – I go back to that 2018 playoff run because that's the last playoff run we can go back to. How many points did they end up scoring in Kansas City to win the AFC Championship game?
37.
37.
They had like 40-something in the other game
Right.
against
So
the Chargers.
everybody always comes back to
to
13.
I know.
Right.
I believe
But-
me, it's one of my
it's-
that's a hill I die on
no.
often.
No, people.
But the point is that eventually in a playoff run, which I think we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but eventually in a playoff run, you're going to have to put 35 points on the board to beat a good team. Like whether it's the divisional round or it's the championship game or it's the Super Bowl or it's the wild card round now, like eventually you're going to have to put 30-plus points on the board to win a football game.
And that's like part of the question with Mac. And when I say like it needs to be perfect around him, like I think what we talked about was, setting up the team, the scheme, the weapons, that stuff needs to be perfect. I also just wonder though, within the context of a game, when the game isn't going perfect, like that's more of like a micro level. But I think that's a thing that, great teams have. And that's a great example of that team that you can win however you need to win. I know Bill talks about the game declaring itself and all that stuff, but what do you got? What do you got here? Your eyes are lighting up.
Oh, nothing. I'm just I'm infatuated by the band is on the field. It's one of my favorite all-time plays. There's so many things that is so wrong about this.
The offense, whether it's Zappe or Mac, the on-schedule offense for the Patriots is pretty good, right? Like play action, on schedule, head of the sticks. They're okay there. It's like you said, negative plays come up or they get into like a couple drives where there's a rut, right? And they're not moving the football very well. We come back to all the stats, right? Like comebacks. How they've come back and won a game one time with Mac Jones, and it was against the Texans last year. It's his only fourth quarter comeback on his ledger in his entire NFL career is against the Texans last year.
Right.
So
that's another one that Mike and I die on all the time.
Well, I almost died during that game, Paul. That was the first time I think Paul saw me absolutely beside myself. Was that Houston game last year?
He was morose.
When the opponent scores more than 25 points, over. So they can't play from behind. They can't play in a shootout. So when they have a game like they did against the Colts where everything goes great, then
I know it's the formula, right? I mean, and that's what's I think like that's the point I've reached over the last like maybe 3-4 weeks was just like, this is what it is. I got to stop like thinking that all of a sudden it's going to be they get in a hole and they're able to dig themselves out. Or, I think when that game finally hopefully does happen at some point, it will be like, oh my gosh, like they came back from behind and they were down like 15 points and they scored 32 and, that game. But again, I'm struggling to have hope that's going to happen. But I got an interesting email here. Joel Weiss, he says, you won't read. That's the subject.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I will.
That's a little trick they like to use to make sure that they get their email read.
Well, no, and it's make Bill walk the plank for this. When the Patriots part ways with Bill by the end of the season, do you think he tries to find another head coach job to Chase Shula? I think my just quick point on this is that if you didn't have and I say this with full criticism towards him for how this offensive situation was handled. I think that was a mistake. I don't think it was handled correctly. That it's not handling well. But I will say that Bill Belichick is probably the only thing that's really keeping you in the mix of right now. Like you haven't lost to the Jets yet. Like it can get worse. It can get a whole lot. You're 5-4. I just think he gives you an advantage still, even despite his mistakes, which he does make. I still think he's an excellent coach, and I think he's getting stuff out of this team that at least on the defensive side of the ball. But there's no way they're going to fire him at this season.
You can't find a better replacement than Bill Belichick. For all of his warts and all of his issues with maybe loyalty, I think to his coaching compadres is probably the biggest issue.
It's almost not even worth discussing because it's not happening.
I shouldn't have read it.
The only way, because he thinks you wouldn't read it because we're broaching the topic that Bill Belichick could lose his job. Like, why would we not read that?
Yeah.
But to me, the only way he would lose his job is if he completely lost the locker room. And there were it's like Josh McDaniels with the Raiders in year one. I mean, it's a mess. They can't win games. They blew 3 17-point leads. But unless there's a steady stream of players going to Mark Davis telling them, this guy can't coach. This guy has lost the locker room. This guy can't do it. Like, I don't think you're going to fire a guy in 1 year. Now, take that with Bill Belichick and all that he's accomplished over the last 20-plus seasons. What would it take for him to lose a job? It's not going to be going 9-8 or 8-9, and maybe missing the playoffs and having Mac Jones take a step back in year 2. It's going to be the players going, this guy, he doesn't know what he's doing anymore. He's lost it. and then maybe the Kraft family has to step back and look at it and figure out an alternative. I don't think there's any chance that he's going anywhere.
I will say this, though. The only person that has the power to get him to recognize the mistake that he's made with the offensive coaching staff is Mr. Kraft, right? Like, he's the only one that can go and say to Bill at the end of the season, I'm not going to tell you who to draft. I'm not going to tell you who to sign in free agency. Like, you guys do your thing there, but I want an offensive coach on the staff next year.
Yep.
Like a real offensive coach on the staff.
Okay, so now that I'll broach that topic, okay? Because I think Evan's exactly right. That's plausible. We're not in fantasy land now where Bill just gets fired because he goes 9-8.
Right.
We got to make some changes.
Now you're approaching that scenario. How does Bill respond to that? That's a way that Bill might not be the coach next year, because Bill might
Take
say,
my ball and going home. Yeah.
You're not telling me how I'm going to structure my staff, and Robert's saying, oh no, I am, I'm the owner, you rent, I own. Like, that's the difference.
Well, it's probably connected too of how much you put credence into those reports of like wanting the draft to change the process. I mean, there's been some like rumors. I mean, some
just
of it's
go back
BS
to this year. Like, we haven't won a playoff game in 3 years.
I just for all the draft has changed talk, outside of maybe taking Mac in the first round, which you're still taking Nick Saban's quarterback. So I'm not really fully convinced that that's anybody else.
I'm with you.
Okay, but then this past year they go right back to Cole Strange, and that's a Belichick pick. Like, please.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Robert Kraft's not up there.
I really like this kid from Chattanooga.
Right, exactly. So that's clearly a Bill pick.
Yeah.
And then I remember when we were out on the field when they introduced Cole Strange, which they bring him out with the jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Kraft was saying that it's like when we drafted Logan Mankins. And he said at the time, everybody questioned that pick because why are we drafting a guard in the first round? And it turned out to be Logan Mankins, and it turned out pretty well. And I'm like, so this is how Bill is selling you on the fact that you have to introduce this guard from Chattanooga as your first round pick, because he was almost trying to like convince himself that this was the right thing to do while he was presenting Cole Strange to the media. It was funny.
Just one more question, and we'll take a quick break. But just Matt from Santan Valley, Arizona, writes in just asking thoughts on Frank Reich to be the offensive coordinator. Could he be that guy? Does that fit? No. Schematically, no?
So he's a West Coast guy, right? He comes from the Doug Peterson coaching tree. He did coach. I looked this up because I've been getting this question a lot. He did coach in some other systems. Tony Dungy, Air Coryell. He did coach under Mike McCoy, who runs a Patriot-like Earnhardt Perkins system. But his real coaching chops come from working with Doug Peterson in Philadelphia in a West Coast system, so they speak a different language.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break here. Nobody's got food today, so nothing to watch. But we will be back. Got some stuff on the other side, and, of course, picks. Got to hurry.
Verizon, the network America relies on, and the official 5G network of the New England Patriots.
The ruling on the field stands.
We deliver jerseys, funny foam fingers, and everything you need for the game. But what you really get is so much more.
FedEx delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
Patriot Place is the region's #1 shopping, dining, and entertainment destination. Shop your favorites, including Vineyard Vines, Express, Olympia Sports, Petco, and more. Enjoy dining at one of our 19 restaurants, including 6 String Grill and Stage, Scorpion Bar, and Bar Louie. And don't forget about the entertainment. Explore your inner artist at Muse Paint Bar, watch a movie at Showcase Cinema Deluxe, or grab a controller and start gaming at Helix Esports. For a complete directory listing, please visit patriot-place.com.
How did Verizon build the fastest 5G in the world? We started by building it right with 5G Ultra Wideband. Then we gave it massive capacity and near zero lag. And it's not just fast, it's 25 times faster than today's 4G networks. This is 5G built right from the network more people rely on, only on Verizon. 5G Ultra Wideband available only in parts of select cities. Global claim based on open signal independent analysis. 25 times analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q2 2020.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Patriots fans, you'll want to check out the replay on this one. Pat the Patriot is stealing the show tonight with his Bank of America mobile banking app.
That's right, folks. So here we see Pat cheering, and then whammo! Is that Bank of America life plan?
Looks like he's saving up for some big future moves. Planning the next vacay, huh, big guy?
And wait, now he's paying back his buddy for concessions using Zelle? No penalty there. Incredible.
No way. As if that double move wasn't impressive enough, now he's beefing up his account defense with security meter? Holy cannoli, what a performance.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive, Patriot fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/banking. You must be enrolled in online banking or download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Terms and conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Some people are never content with simply being good. Not when they can be great. But it takes a big step to get there. In fact, it takes a leap of faith, a belief in what you're striving toward, and a willingness to make the commitment, day in and day out, to something bigger than yourself. Putnam is proud to partner with those who share their own commitment to performance excellence. This is Matt Light for Putnam Investments, a world of investing.
There's no season better than football season, and there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. To add to the thrill, DraftKings has millions of dollars in prizes up for grabs every week, so head to the app now and check it out. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy football is easy to play. Just pick 9 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for yards, touchdowns, receptions, and so much more. There's no better way to put your football knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at $1 million in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week. That's promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week, only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Want to get into the game? Get coached up at Dean College. Equipped with exclusive academic partnerships featuring the Patriots, Revolution, Providence Bruins, summer baseball, and more, our classrooms are set up for success by learning directly from the pros. Dean College has programs in communications, sports management, business, and marketing with unprecedented hands-on experiences. Our students take what they learn in the classroom and put it right to work in the marketplace. At Dean College, our students don't just play games, we run them. Visit us at dean.edu.
Verizon, the network America relies on, and the official 5G network of the New England Patriots.
The ruling on the field stands.
We deliver jerseys, funny foam fingers, and everything you need for the game. But what you really get is so much more.
FedEx Delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
Patriot Place is the region's #1 shopping, dining, and entertainment destination. Shop your favorites, including Vineyard Vines, Express, Olympia Sports, Petco, and more. Enjoy dining at one of our 19 restaurants, including 6 String Grill and Stage, Scorpion Bar, and Bar Louie. And don't forget about the entertainment. Explore your inner artist at Muse Paint Bar. Watch a movie at Showcase Cinema Deluxe, or grab a controller and start gaming at Helix Esports. For a complete directory listing, please visit patriot-place.com.
How did Verizon build the fastest 5G in the world? We started by building it right with 5G ultra wideband. Then we gave it massive capacity and near zero lag. And it's not just fast, it's 25 times faster than today's 4G networks. This is 5G built right from the network more people rely on, only on Verizon. 5G ultra wideband available only in parts of select cities. Global claim based on open signal independent analysis. 25 times analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q2 2020.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Patriots fans, you'll want to check out the replay on this one. Pat the Patriot is stealing the show tonight with his Bank of America mobile banking app.
That's right, folks. So here we see Pat cheering, and then whammo! Is that Bank of America life plan?
Looks like he's saving up for some big future moves. Planning the next vacay, huh, big guy?
And wait, now he's paying back his buddy for concessions using Zelle? No penalty there. Incredible.
No way! As if that double move wasn't impressive enough, now he's beefing up his account defense with security meter? Holy cannoli, what a performance!
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive, Patriot fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/banking. You must be enrolled in online banking or download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Terms and conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Some people are never content with simply being good. Not when they can be great. But it takes a big step to get there. In fact, it takes a leap of faith, a belief in what you're striving toward, and a willingness to make the commitment, day in and day out, to something bigger than yourself. Putnam is proud to partner with those who share their own commitment to performance excellence. This is Matt Light for Putnam Investments, a world of investing.
There's no season better than football season, and there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the New England Patriots. To add to the thrill, DraftKings has millions of dollars in prizes up for grabs every week, so head to the app now and check it out. If you haven't tried it yet, fantasy football is easy to play. Just pick 9 players, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for yards, touchdowns, receptions, and so much more. There's no better way to put your football knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at $1 million in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week. That's promo code PATS to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes every week, only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
And now, great moments in history.
Eric and Paul show a feeling for the league. Jacksonville wins this game. They do, in fact, get that.
I took the Houston points. What about the cover? I took the Houston 3.5.
points.
Jacksonville by 3.5.
Yeah.
You took Jacksonville, so you want the point. You lay in the points. If we believe this,
they're gonna win by more.
He's winning
on both sides.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's winning.
They're gonna win.
Now you don't want to know why I have that face.
Some of these are not intentional.
Yeah. This is your lock of the week. Upset lock of the week. Pittsburgh over the Titans. What was the spread?
2. 2. Huge upset.
2. They're going to win by more.
Big upset. The New England money's not coming in. So that worries me. That worries me in this game. What do they know? What do they know? But I'm going to say nothing. They know nothing.
I thought you were going to say nothing.
Yeah. And
he's done that plenty.
Yeah. Patriots prevail.
Shocker.
28-19. Patriots.
My favorite part of the Fredisms when he gives picks on games that there's some thought to, like that one, right? He's tortured for a minute.
And
really could go either way.
Right, and then
still
Patriots
finds a way for a 2-score win.
Right, yeah.
That's another great moment from
Hey, Pats fans, I am here to tell you about NFL All Day. With NFL All Day, all your favorite Patriots highlights become digital video collectibles called Moments. Not only can you buy and sell them on a secure marketplace full of thousands of NFL fans, you can also use them to compete in epic game day challenges. Check it out and find some moments from all your favorite Pats players on NFLAllDay.com. Let's pretty good, huh? Pretty good read
Oh,
right there,
except
huh?
for the stumble in the middle there. You have to redo that.
Nobody knows that
again
one.
in 3, 2,
and
hi everybody.
Hey, Pats fans, how you doing?
Give you a solid B-.
B-. All right. Well, hey, that's better than I did in school, so I'll take it.
So Matt, great. That was a great job today. Great on Picks Thursday. We have no Fred, but now I feel like Fred's here.
Little Fred flavor.
That was a Fred flavor.
Oh,
this
man.
is your lock of the week. Upset lock.
Gonna win by more.
He took the favorite.
You could probably put like 3 different clips of explaining the hook to him, like what. I'll take
And
the
he
hook.
still doesn't get.
That's
Do you ever like hear people say like the hook?
Yes.
And it's generally like the 3.5 or the 6.5, 7.5. Like any half he just considers a hook. Like if it's 4.5, 5.5, it's not really a hook, but it's like on the field goal or the touchdown. You've heard people bet stuff. You just can't seem to figure it out.
I will admit, sometimes I do get lost by the gambling lingo. But
well, that's because of Fred.
But
because Fred doesn't use it properly.
I know he's confused me.
There are probably things that you always thought were so, and then Fred explains them in a way that they're not really the same way.
So I
Slay
just
and slay.
Like that.
Play and slay. Oh well.
I feel like he's here. It's like
I know he's
beautiful.
He's a little girl in Dusseldorf right now, literally.
Correct. Sharps no.
Well, we got to come back from the break from Spee and Fresno, coming in hot on Evan. I know we got a little.
It's just great that there's another punching bag on the show.
Brewing rivalry.
I took my beatings for how many years? Yeah. It's nice to have someone else.
No, we love it. And Spee is of course a longtime caller, so it's a new twist to the show. But let's get to this email. Spee writes. What grinds my gears is the idea that Mac, as a so-called net neutral quarterback, we'll let Evan explain what that means, would be good enough to nab a title if everything around him were stably and competently composed and run. At some point, the quarterback matters. Last week, the boys from Catch-22 were clear that they think we're in an era of a game manager QB, where you can build a team and plug in a Mac Jones and ride off into the sunset. That may get you to the OK Bowl. Is that one of the bowls that is coming up? But the history of the Super Bowl winning quarterbacks is crystal clear.
Is it?
Crystal. You almost always
crystal
need
clear.
a really
almost
good
always.
or great quarterback.
50% of the time it works every time.
Every time.
Okay, so first of all, Spee, I love you, but I think we can move on from this debate at some point. Second of all, the net neutral thing is totally Barth's thing. All right, so I'm not even going to try to explain that. But I think the overall point we were trying to make, or I was trying to make about this whole thing, and I kind of got on it a little bit yesterday with you, Mike, is that I don't think Mac Jones is that special, right? Like, I don't think that he is I said earlier, I don't think that he is a transcendent quarterback. So, yes, for a quarterback of his ability, at least currently, at least what we've seen so far out of 24 games, a quarterback of his current ability is going to need things to be pretty around him. Like that's just the best way that you can describe it, is he's going to need to have good receivers, and he's going to need to have good coaching, and he's going to need to have a pretty easy situation for him to be what people want him to be as a quarterback.
Right.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that he's bad. It just means that he's not Patrick Mahomes, right? He's not going to put the team on his back and carry the team solely to the promised land. Like, he's going to need a lot of help around him in order to do that, at least at his current state. So I think that the net neutral quarterback and that whole idea stems from the fact of which one is easier to build. Is it easier to find Patrick Mahomes, or is it easier to build a good team around a quarterback that's more average, right? So is it easier to do it? I think the easiest way that I can come up with is it easier to do it the way the 2019 San Francisco 49ers did it, or is it easier to do it the way the 2019 Chiefs did it? So the 49ers had Jimmy Garoppolo, who I think for Mac Jones is a nice comp, is a player that has a similar skill set. So is the easier way to get George Kittle and Deebo Samuel and a good offensive line and a good play caller and Kyle Shanahan and carry the quarterback to a Super Bowl, or is it easier to find the transcendent QB? And my adage and Alex's adage has always been that it's probably at this stage easier to do the Niners thing than it is to do the other thing, because good luck finding it's basically catching lightning in a pan twice because he did it once already with Brady. So now you're asking them to go out there and do it again.
Yeah, 6-round unicorn.
We just talked about it with Justin Herbert. Like, he's awesome. He's a great physical marvel. They don't win very many games with him. They're not making the playoffs with him like that. So you can have all of the tools, you can have all of the talent in the world, but at the end of the day, the situation matters. And Mac is right in that category with 99% of the quarterbacks in the league right now.
Yeah, and I would just add real quick that I think that I would always push back on the definitive, this is what you have to do, this is what you can't do, this is what you need to do. I think there are a lot of different boxes to fill in. There's some stuff that I don't necessarily buy that Evan just said, and there's some stuff that I 1,000% buy that Evan just said. And there's a lot of different ways. San Francisco is a good example. They did that. They built a Super Bowl caliber team, and they got to the Super Bowl. And it's impossible to sit here. I hate another Felger and Mazism that I rail against and fight back against all the time. I'm a slave to the scoreboard. Because if I'm a slave to the scoreboard, then what the hell do I need you for? I could just wait to see who won the game, and I can realize what happened, right? So you can't argue with me that San Francisco wasn't good enough with Jimmy Garoppolo, who I think is very average, to win that Super Bowl.
They should have won the game.
They're up 10 points in the fourth quarter, and they had a chance to win the game. Now they lost. So the scoreboard will tell you have to have X because the other guy lost. Yeah. But I think we all know there's nuance to everything that you look at. So that's the only part I push back on. Yeah, do I think you need to have a really good quarterback? Yeah, I do. And I think if you don't, it's really hard to get what San Francisco got. I don't think that's easy to do. Now, Evan could tell you, well, it's easier to do that than get a Mahomes. He's probably right. But I think both of those things are really hard to do.
Yeah.
To build a team that's that good that they can overcome a so-so quarterback. And by the way, Garoppolo that year wasn't so-so. He's so-so now.
I think there's a line, right? Like, I think for the Rams, Jared Goff was below the line, right? Like, Jared Goff was he was not good enough to be competitive in big games, right?
I would probably agree with that, but I think the Cup injury killed them that year down the stretch because that was a pretty dynamic offense for most of that season. It was,
but I think that the Rams recognized, okay, Goff is that's the line. Like, we can't be below this line, right?
And Shanahan did the same thing with Jimmy.
But I think with Shanahan and with Jimmy, it's more stems from Jimmy's long-term outlook in terms of injury and durability.
You're probably right.
Right? Because I think with Jimmy, again, they put Jimmy back in this offense when Trey Lance gets hurt. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league statistically.
Oh, but he hasn't played all that well.
Exactly.
You've watched the games.
That's the point, though, right? He hasn't played all that well.
And they haven't played all that well.
But they have their efficiency as an offense right now is top 5 in the league. It's one of those things that breaks people like my brain, right? Because my film brain tells me he's not very good, right? Like, you watch him on tape and Jimmy
just
Garoppolo
watch
struggles.
some of the completions that are just chucked up for grabs and a guy comes down with the ball. I just don't think they have.
But then your nerd brain is like, oh wait, he's top 5 in QBR. Like, how is that possible? How can a quarterback that every single film nut can kind of rally to a point where they say Jimmy Garoppolo ain't that good, but then every single time he plays for an extended period of time for the 49ers, they have a great offense. Like, I just that's the part that I think you have problem with. But to go back to the quarterback thing, my whole thing is going to continue to be the same, and that is I do not think that Mac Jones is that great. So in order for the Patriots to win football games with Mac Jones, the situation around him is going to have to be good. That's the point I'm trying to make. Thank you, Spee.
Let's hop back to the phones here. We got a few games too after this, so let's talk to Dan from Virginia and Michigan. Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Games.
Good, Mike. How you doing? You're doing a wonderful job today as the host.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Firstly, I wanted to say thank you for the discussion yesterday that ensued from my question. It seemed that Fred was getting a little flustered by the end of it, but I appreciated it because I'd heard what Fred mentioned, that defensive coordinators know offense because they have to study it in order to defend against it. But it seemed like the gap was bigger than that. So I was really glad to hear all all the different perspectives and information that came out yesterday. But with it being the middle of the season and going into the bye, I got two questions. What percentage chance do you give of the Patriots making the playoffs? And if you're Bill Belichick giving Matt Patricia his marching orders for the bye week, what three things are you giving him that he needs to figure out or answer or work on?
Gotcha. Thanks, Dan. I'm going to jump in right now. I would say just on the playoff odds. I mean, I was in my brain. I was saying 40% chance that they make the playoffs, and
pretty high.
And if I look at Football Outsiders, they gave them a 43.7 chance right now.
What does other analytical sites give? That's not based in like Foxborough.
Oh, I don't consult that one.
Oh, okay.
But they're around the teams.
43. I'm with Evan. That seems high to me.
It does seem high, but I think there's probably a 60% chance they're going to miss out. I think there's a better chance they do, but I still think there's a pretty good chance. I would just want to point out too, in that vicinity, the Jets are at 69%. The Bengals are at 51.3.
That seems high to me too, in fairness.
And the LAC is at 61.5. So those are kind of the bubble teams of the AFC. Obviously, not including Miami and all those teams that are down.
Right. And I tease because that's what I do. I think the problem sometimes with numbers is it's based strictly on what has happened. Like, I know I'm still not believing in the Jets. I still don't think Zach Wilson is ready to win important games. I think he's going to cost them. But if you go off of what has happened already, the numbers will tell you that they're probably got the FBI index will tell you they're going to win this game and that game and this game. I just don't think you can do that.
Yeah.
Whereas the Chargers have been sort of middling, but I think that they have more of an opportunity. Cincinnati would probably be my better example. They're middling and looking like they're stuck in neutral, but I think they have more of an ability than the Jets would to put it together in the second half of the season and make a playoff run.
Yeah. The other problem I have with the predictive stuff is so the Patriots have, by FBI Football Power Index, they have the toughest remaining schedule. Football Outsiders, I think it's fourth or fifth toughest schedule. So the consensus among the nerds is that the Patriots have one of the toughest schedules remaining in the NFL. They also play Buffalo twice, and they play Miami, two teams that the nerds absolutely love right now, right? So it's nerd heaven with those two teams. So my point being is that just inherently by playing in the AFC East right now, all of a sudden you look up the AFC East got these wagons in Miami and in Buffalo. They have 3 of their last 8 games are against those two teams. So obviously they're going to have it's going to be skewed that the Patriots are going to have a tough strength of schedule. So it is tough. I just think that 2 games against Buffalo in particular, who's DVOA and all these advanced metrics are just off the charts for Buffalo. It's obviously no one else plays Buffalo twice except the Patriots, right?
And you look, and I saw some other numbers Baltimore, as an example, has one of the easiest schedules remaining, and they have because they have, I think, they play in the NFC South, which is a wretchedly bad division, right? They've already beaten Tampa at Tampa. I think they have. I want to say they have Atlanta and Carolina at home. That's what they have left in that division. They just beat the Saints, right? Last week. So they, at Tampa, at the Saints. Those are the 2 tougher of those 4 games. So they have the 2 easy ones that should be cupcakes at home. That's a big advantage, to fall back on.
Well, speaking of games, I want to do this game. Kind of fun. It's a silly game. Not kind of silly. You'll know it. It's coming in here from Tyler and Natick. So the rules are: a clue is given that ties 2 names together, such as, here's an example, a Patriots practice squad quarterback that is also an adoption agent for a problem child.
What?
Garrett Gilbert Godfrey.
Oh my God.
I don't even get it.
Problem Child was a movie with Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah, Problem Child. He was in. All right. Well, let's just try.
So you'd have to have seen the movie.
I think you might not get this one. There's only 4. Don't worry. Don't worry. A tackle with the floor of a Pro Bowl guard that is also a hit song on the Purple Rain album.
Isaiah Wynn.
Hit on the Purple Rain.
Purple Rain.
Isaiah Wynn Doves Cry.
What?
All right, next one. Veteran Patriots pass catcher and former Razorback that could turn on a jukebox by hitting it. These are our happy days.
Hey.
Hunter Henry Winkler.
Okay.
What can we?
I'm not good at these.
We got two more.
You have two more.
I'm not good at these.
All right, Evan's going to get this one. I can feel it. The greatest Patriots lineman of all time, not Cole Strange, that moonlights as Miley Cyrus's alter ego.
John Hannah Montana?
I knew it. He got one. All right, last one, Paul. This one's for you. A pioneer on the electric guitar that wears shiny shirts and Coke spoons and slams sandwiches on the table. Les Paul Perillo. All right, let's break that sort of with.
I appreciate the effort. That just that's the cat when those come up on like Jeopardy. I just pass.
Yeah,
like
much.
I can't do it.
That had to have taken
do it.
some time.
He did. I mean, I thought it was excellent. I don't know why it went over like.
Do we have another
lead
one?
balloon here? No, I was going to do one of my own games, but we'll do that in a second. I'm gonna make an executive decision here. We're not going to quite hurry as much on the picks. There's only 3 of us. We're all pretty quick. We all understand.
Besides
gambling.
the fact that we don't need to hurry.
Yeah.
There's also buys.
So we'll do another 10 minutes or so. But let's take a couple calls here. Mark from Bolton. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Hey, great. A couple of things. I'm the guy that called this summer and made the contention that Ramondre Stevenson is the most complete 3-down back drafted by the Pats since Curtis Martin in 1995.
I remember that. I remember you calling saying that.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So anyway, it was all kind of incomplete. Everybody thought it was interesting, but sort of nobody wanted to, make a bet on that. But either way, what I really call about is another bye-week conversation. Is I don't think anybody's going to get fired, but if Bill is really honest with himself in his self-scouting, what he would do would move Patricia solely to the offensive line to concentrate it, get Judge back on special teams, and give Cam a cord, throw him a bone, and have him concentrate on getting Jake Bailey straightened out. And Bill should call the plays like Andy Reid. I mean, those are my 2 things to weigh in on.
Okay, so
thanks, Mark.
Aside from all the other moving around of the coaching staff, which I think is not necessary at this point in the season, Bill calling plays is an interesting point to bring up. Now, to me, I think that there's a bigger issue with play design than actual play sequencing. So I'm not sure that changing the play caller is going to solve anything, because I don't necessarily think it's like their game plan and their script is bad and it just whatever. Yeah. I just think their play designs are bad. So I don't know if that really changes much, but that was sort of the feeling coming into the season, was that if it gets bad, then Bill will just do it.
Right.
So maybe we are at the point where Bill just does it.
That was the exact question I was about to bring up to you, was just that, do you think the play calling is the actual problem? Because it seems like the play calling, any one of those guys could probably do it, and it'd probably be the same as it is as whoever's calling the plays right now. To your point, I feel like it's the design. It's the overall coordination, not necessarily oh, you called the wrong play at the wrong time, Matt. I think that they're all on board with what plays are on the sheet, what how they want to do it. I don't know. I just think the play caller word gets a little bit too much attention.
I wish that they had a little bit better sequencing sometimes to build up to stuff, right? Oh, yeah. Whatever the case may be. But I think the biggest problem with the play action game, for example, is that there's no run action in their play action. There's no pulling guard, there's no hard bootleg, there's no lead the fullback Paul was talking about earlier. There's no eye candy for the defense to be run key, it's run, and now it's play there is none of that. So that's design. It's not about actual sequencing of the plays together. It's design. And I would also look at their red zone issues. The reason why, in my mind, other than the fact that they're not running the ball as well as you would like inside the 10-yard line, is there's no horizontal stretch to the defense in the red zone. There's no motion. There's nothing using the width of the field. And if you're not losing the width of the field from inside the 20-yard line, there is no vertical element to the field. So, to me, it's just these are all play design issues. None of this is about the sequencing of the plays together.
Let's go to Vinny in Vegas. Another call. Hey, Vinny.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Hey, I want to actually thank you guys, and I'll tell you why. I'm just a lame football fan, right? I have no idea what plays are supposed to be made, how they're, everything you're talking about, sequencing and all that stuff. But when I look at the games, it just doesn't look right. Everything is just a mess. Every play is hard. It's difficult to get the ball out. And you guys have always been very objective when you talk about, the team, right? You don't have a bias. You're not, you didn't get this information from a player or from a coach, right? And so when you talk about what you see, it's just about what you see. Now, could it be wrong? Maybe, right? But you're being objective. So I really appreciate that. And this is the reason why, since I first, found you guys, years ago, 10, 12 years ago, I've been listening faithfully, right? Because I know I can get objective criticism or praise of the team without having to worry about, are they fitting me a bunch of crap. I do have a question for you guys, and because of the issues with Mac, and you've made it very clear that he needs everything to be perfect for things to work out, or for him to be a above average quarterback. Are we looking, I guess, in the draft, we're going to be looking at and this might be a little early, but we're going to be looking at a left tackle or, lineman, because it seems like that's not going to get.
Did we lose him?
I think we might have lost him, but thank you, Vinny. I think we got the point.
Are we looking in the draft to draft in the quarterback, or like that's the point we didn't get of what the call was? But I think
say no.
I come back to what I said yesterday about the quarterback in the draft. Like, C.J. Stroud's going number 1 overall. Bryce Young's probably going number 2 overall. So like, you're picking 18th. You're not getting either one of them. Right. So like, you're not getting a quarterback in the draft. Like that's the whole thing about, well, shouldn't we strive for better than Spee's net neutral, right? Well, yeah, but where are you going to find it?
Yeah, and instead go for guys that can make a non-net neutral impact, maybe at tackle,
right,
maybe at linebacker, some of those spots.
Right.
All right, I want to get to my little thing real quick. I thought we would be
what about
really
your little
struggling.
thing?
I want to talk about it, Paul. I thought we'd have time to kill. I'd be drowning, but it's been a great show. We've talked a lot of football, but I just want to take a quick look ahead to some of the 2023 free agents, guys that are due for deals, guys that are coming up, and my version of the game, we'll do it kind of quick because we kind of do have to hurry a little bit at this point. Is just should they, will they? Should they re-sign him? Will they re-sign him? And I'm going to start at the top with, I think, the guy that is probably the biggest question mark, and certainly has had a great year and a great start to his career, Jacoby Myers. So let's start with him, guys. What do we think? How are we feeling about the chances that Jacoby Myers is going to stick around?
Yeah. I think that he's a guy that I think I've said my piece on this. Yeah. I would strongly want him back.
Should they?
But
yes?
I think it's 50-50. I'm not sure he'll be back.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be in line to get a pretty good payday. I saw someone wrote into me yesterday, I think, and had Christian Kirk's contract. He's not that kind of player. Like, I know they're both slot receivers, but they're not the same kind of slot receiver. Christian Kirk is far more explosive than Jacoby Myers. But if you're Jacoby Myers and his agent, are you looking at it and say, well, I catch 80 passes a year, and if that's what this guy got, I'm the same age, why shouldn't I get it? So I don't think you'd be wrong to be looking for that kind of money. Yeah. I just don't see him getting it from the Patriots.
I hope Jacoby's agent steers him in the proper direction, because I do think that there's a very good chance that they overplay their hand in free agency, because teams look at guys like Jacoby Myers and they go back to their draft profiles in terms of ceiling, right? Like, if we sign this guy, right, he's ran a I think it's like a 4.64 or something like that coming out of NC State, and he's not an explosive athlete.
He's a quarterback.
He's not as exceptionally gifted down the field. So, like, what New England got the most out of him? And if you're looking at giving him $18 million a year, then you think that there's another level that you can get out of that player. The other thing I would push back quickly just on Christian Kirk, that deal broke everybody's minds. Like, that, everyone in the league and out of the league were like, what the heck are the Jaguars doing? So I don't think that that's really a deal that's going to end up holding as the years go here, because the Jaguars were kind of on their own island by giving Christian Kirk that contract.
Just one more point I'd make on Myers is just, all this stuff about making Mac happy. I mean, he's the one guy he trusts right now. To let that guy walk, I wonder if you're trying to get Mac on board and, keeping him might be a big
that's why I
piece of
think that he does and have a good chance of coming back, is because, one, I don't think that the money that he wants or necessarily thinks he's going to get is going to be there on the free agency market, and I do think that they'll prioritize him enough that if it is only $11 million or $12 million a year, then they will do it.
What about Jonathan Jones?
What is he making right now?
He signed that 3-year deal, right?
Yeah, last year of a 3-year deal. I'm not sure what the number is off.
It's pretty high. I think it's like 9 or 10, right?
Yeah, but it's been a really good deal on the whole.
But it goes up.
Need more money. He's being 30. He's almost 30.
Yeah, but he's played well.
Yeah.
So I think the number goes up. He's another one.
It's a tough one. He's been real good.
I think he's another one that the whole system thing helps the Patriots. Because
is he just a slot receiver in another system? Is he really an outside corner for other teams?
I just also think that the way that they coach up corners here is just different than
that is
than
one
other
area.
places.
We criticize the development, right? That's one spot that young corners, and it's funny, not the ones they draft necessarily, but the ones that are undrafted, they develop and they make good players out of.
Right.
There's a laundry list of them.
I think that there's a growing respect around the league of how good the Patriots are coaching the secondary, and I don't think everybody thinks that they can just pluck Jonathan Jones out of the Patriots system and get the same production out of him. I mean, and I know he's hurt.
It's not painting a good picture of free agency.
No,
hopefully the other teams won't really value the free agents and they can come back.
How about Damian Harris? I think we probably feel he's going to walk, and they've got some guys to replace behind him. Isaiah Wynn probably not going to be back. Nelson Aguilar,
same.
Probably not going to be back. Some interesting guys, though, in the defense that have come in this year, and I'll kind of group them together just so we can get through these. But Jelani Tavai, Mac Wilson, Raekwon McMillan, and Jabril Peppers. 4 guys that have kind of, given you some different options.
I think Tavai will be back.
He seems like their kind of guy.
I think the other 3 will probably go.
Yeah.
Peppers had a market at the deadline. So there's going to be teams that are going to look at him as somebody that can play more of like a starting role at safety versus being like a 3rd or a 4th safety here. So if I was him, I'd want to play more.
And he probably took a 1-year deal, when he did, saying, I'll prove to everybody I'm healthy, I can play, and I'm back, and then he'll go out and do the Evan thing.
Last one, though, is D-Mac. Do you think any chance maybe they say, hey, let's make an effort to re-sign Peppers and finally move on from McCourty? I know Paul's thoughts on this one.
I've missed on this so many times. I thought the last year was the last year, like 3 years in a row. So I won't rule it out. I think this is it for him, but I won't rule it out.
They've kicked the can down the road on free safety for a while. They brought in all the Patrick Chung replacements that they could ever possibly need. But that middle of the field, rangy safety, Devin's it. Like they don't have anybody else on the roster. So if he's gone, then that becomes a big priority because you can't run their coverage system without him.
And that's what's
he's played better this year too, I think, than last year.
That's just going to feed into my last point here. Matt Bowen posted a bunch of what coverage his teams are playing. I mean, the Patriots are still 2nd in the league in cover 1, man free, 43.7%. Cover 2, we talked a little bit this week about the rage at cover 2 taken away. They're 31st in the league with 12.4. It's just interesting, as Evan pointed out, who's that one? McCourty usually, right? I mean, I know they move him around, but that's it.
I would really be curious 8 weeks from now what those numbers look like because I'll bet they'll change.
Yeah, as they evolve. Well,
no, as they play passing offenses,
which
they haven't really seen.
That's a good point. I like it. And with that, Matt.
It's amazing.
That's right.
Every week it takes you by surprise.
We didn't hurry, but Paul, tell us what happened last week.
All right. So last week, we were all right about the same, but there's always some that stand out amongst the rest. Evan.
Oh.
Mike.
Oh.
9-4.
Hey.
Paul and Fred 8-5. Crappy week for Paul. With the spread,
below the line.
With the spread, Evan, Paul, and Fred 7-5-1. Mike 6-6-1.
Look at the boss though, Fred. A good week.
Bounce back.
Crappy. Yeah. Anytime.
Good thing he's not here.
Anytime you're with Fred, crappy. It's not becoming of the picks leader that I am. So the numbers for the season, I remain on top, 84, 51, and 1. Mike nipping at my heels, 82, 53, and 1. And Fred, 74, 61, and 1. Evan continues to set the pace, and I am nothing if not fair, as you know. 57 and 31, and you might say, well, is that good? Yes, that's a little bit better than me. 648 percentage to 621. So Evan has a better winning percentage than I do.
We know how you feel about percentages.
It's about the long haul guy. It's about the long haul guy. With the spread, I am 80, 53, and 3. Still just a phenomenal, torrid pace.
Very good.
Mike, 67, 66, and 3. And Fred, 55, 78, and 3. Evan, 42, 43, and 3.
I'm getting there. I'm getting the both.
So my winning percentage with the spread is 599, down from 603 last week because I only went 7 and 5. Can't believe I'm losing to this guy.
I can tell he's a little upset about it.
He does.
Well, I had a bad week.
High standard.
I had a bad week.
The line for him.
I keep telling you every week, though, it's coming. Like a 3 and 13 is coming. You can't do this. You can't.
You're too old.
Like
Bill can do it.
If I put $100 on every game and I went 80, 53, and 3, I wouldn't be here talking to you clowns anymore. I'd be home.
It was my understanding that there would be no math.
For real.
All right, well, let's start it off tonight with an absolute barn burner down there in the NFC South. We've got Atlanta at Carolina.
You know, I'm really glad that the Fenwick game was moved to Thursday night, so I do not have to worry about not hitting the last button on my
Sorry, son.
Thing. Atlanta at Carolina. Atlanta by 3.
PJ Walker.
I don't know.
PJ Walker.
I guess you get to go first this week, Evan.
Oh, boy. This is a tough one. I'm going to take Atlanta. I think they win by a field goal. So take them to cover. I don't know. This game is – I can't even give a take on
Will
this
you turn
game.
it on?
It's horrible.
It's an insult to football.
Will you
turn
turn
it
it
on?
on?
Next? What's that?
Will you turn it on?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe for a minute. I'll definitely watch the Bruins.
There have
first.
been more than one of these streamed games that I haven't seen a play because I watch the Bruins, as opposed to, loading up the app.
I pull it up on my phone.
Yeah, Chucky's coming back. You watching.
I can't really watch stuff on my phone. It's too small.
Put headphones on. The sound makes it seem bigger.
Oh, okay. I'll take Atlanta
It
both
immerses
ways.
you.
Sure.
I'm going against my normal Thursday night routine, especially when there's two bad teams. I always take the home team on Thursday nights, but I can't do it.
I'll take Atlanta too. All right, we go to 9:30 a.m. This is the first Germany game here. Fred is there in person. Tom Brady is there in person. We hope they don't cross paths. Seattle versus Tampa Bay.
Tampa by 2.5.
The only thing that Tampa has on this game over Seattle is Brady, right? Like the Seahawks are playing much better football right now than Tampa Bay. So I'm actually going to take Seattle because this is not a home game, right? For Tampa, neither team is at home. I think Seattle's playing better football. I am all in on Geno Smith. I think Geno's been awesome.
Story of the year. Yeah.
I'm going Seattle.
Some might call him the comeback player of the year.
What does that mean, really?
I don't really know, but I picked him.
You going Seattle too?
I am taking Tampa. I think Evan said everything right. I think Seattle's been the better team in every week of this season than Tampa. I'm going to be a sucker, and I'm going to say, I don't know, Brady kind of looked like, finally, we did something positive, even though I think that was all Rams related, that last drive.
The soft coverage they played on that drive,
pathetic.
I was like, what are we doing?
It was pathetic. I'm going to take Tampa to win the game. But I don't feel great about this pick.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, in a good way. I mean, I think it'll be kind of an interesting game to flip on Sunday morning. As Fred would say, Paul has the correct answer. I'm going to go with Tampa too, but I don't feel strongly about it.
Okay, and just to let everybody know, because I know how much people follow the worst picker in the contest. Fred has Carolina both ways, and Tampa both ways.
In sharp parlance,
he did give me his picks.
I'm so surprised that Fred took Tom Brady.
They've kissed. Sunday at 1:00, we have the Minnesota Vikings against the Buffalo Bills. Could be a huge game. Josh Allen not at practice today, though.
Could be
he is
Case Keenum.
questionable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this would be one.
What are we
I would
doing?
Fade.
Minnesota Buffalo.
I just got a text. Sorry, you know me. I
Need you
can't
to pay attention.
I can't multitask.
I got a text.
That's why I can't put the phone on when I'm watching the Bruins have. Minnesota at Buffalo. Buffalo by 5.5.
So that's dropped a lot.
Yeah, I think it's down to 3.5 actually, but it's this morning it was 5.5. It opened at 9.5.
I just realized that the I got a text this probably isn't the Love Island audience that we're looking for. But anyways,
Love Island.
Love Island, good one. Vikings. The Vikings. Well, I think you've seen it a couple times. I think Paul, you brought this up that if they play Case Keenum, it's 4 backup quarterbacks that they've played.
Incredible. It's a string of luck. I know they saw Bridgewater and Thompson against Miami.
Yeah, right.
Which is probably their best win at Miami.
Yeah.
And has a huge
It's
asterisk.
just interesting, less about this game, but more about looking ahead to that Thanksgiving night game. That game's going to be built up as maybe the 8 or 9-1 Vikings against the Patriots, and maybe not a real 8 or 9-1.
I'd give them some credit for going to Buffalo and winning this game,
I would
even if Case Keenum wins. Plays, sorry.
I think that the Bills are going to win this game. I think the Bills are going to cover, and I think that Josh Allen's going to play. And I think that's how.
And he'll be out for the year.
And that's
because the Patriots play them in 2 weeks. So you am I going before you or after you?
You're going before me.
Okay. I am going to
Seinfeld
I
now.
am going to take Buffalo to win the game. I am going to take the points. I think it'll be a close game. I think Keenum is a capable backup that won't necessarily destroy the game. He could.
Not
but
as good as Bailey Zappe.
I think he's had some success. Most success he had with Minnesota that year. But I'm going to take Buffalo at home. I think that's a hard place to play. I don't think Minnesota. Everybody knows how I feel about the Vikings. I don't think they're ready to win this game.
I'm going to get a little weird. I'm going to take Minnesota to win this one. I can totally see Josh Allen trying to play and maybe throwing a couple picks and, maybe we should have done this. I'm going to roll the dice, though. I'm going to go with the Vikes.
It's just Sean McDermott. Like, he's a former wrestler, right? Like, they just want to have that, like, tough guy
I don't
energy
think he's going to
in
play.
Buffalo.
You guys both think he's going to play?
Yeah, because I think that's sort of their mantra in Buffalo. We're Buffalo. Like,
I think he sits
it's
this
cold
week,
here. Like,
and
we're
maybe next week, and then they'll have, I think they have the Jets again, and then the Patriots, and I think they will want him back for the division games.
All right, we got to hurry.
We really don't.
Sunday at 1, we have the...
Oh, by the way, Fred, Buffalo both ways.
Oh, Buffalo. Detroit at Chicago.
Detroit basketball. Chicago by 3.
I'm taking Justin Fields. He's in Fuego since Monday Night Football.
He's on a heater.
You're welcome.
He is.
You're welcome, Bears.
I love Justin Fields. I will take the Bears as well.
Yep, I'm on the Bears as well. All right.
Chicago for Freddie, too.
Chicago for Freddie. Sunday at 1, Denver in a rare away game at Tennessee.
See, this is great. Fred's not here when Denver's on the road. Tennessee, by 3.
Tennessee by 3. Coming off a tough loss to Kansas City.
I like
Russell Wilson. What's this wristband thing I've been hearing about with Russell Wilson?
I think he's like not wearing.
Well, Russell Wilson wouldn't wear a wristband, and Geno Smith wears one, and Pete Carroll put another check in Geno Smith's category because he also wears a wristband. With our old friend Shane Waldron running that offense in Seattle, he was here with us.
Yeah, another McVay
100 years ago.
Guy. I would say I'm gonna go Titans. I like the Broncos in this game for a lot of reasons, but like there's something about Tennessee that they always just win games that they're not supposed to win.
It's Mike Vrabel, baby.
So I think of the Titans.
They almost did it last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tennessee too. I like their toughness, and if Russell Wilson turns it around, then I'll start thinking about the Broncos differently. The Broncos defense is terrific. I don't see Derrick Henry running all over them.
Yeah.
But I think he'll run just enough to put some points on the board.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Tennessee for me.
Tennessee for Fred as well.
Sunday at 1, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City by 9.5.
Chiefs both ways. Best team in football.
Yeah, I agree. I think Super Bowl favorite right now.
Yeah.
Now, is that because of Josh Allen,
Yes.
or
Yes.
doesn't matter?
Yeah,
I think they're clearly the two best teams in the league. So
I feel like Evans made an advancement there.
What do you mean?
He wasn't willing to say that about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
About Buff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually think Buffalo's kind of shown some chinks in the armor, not the least of which is the injury. Obviously, that's a game changer. But kind of getting run on a little bit lately. I will take Kansas City as well. I'm with you guys. Freddie as well.
Yeah, I'm on Kansas City. All right. Sunday at 1, Miami Dolphins are welcoming the Cleveland Browns.
Miami by 3.5.
Miami by 3.5.
Miami to win, Miami to cover by a lot. I mean, how many points is that Browns defense going to give up to
Bailey Zappe?
Right? They gave up how many to Bailey Zappe, and now they have to play
How is he a
Tyreek
punchline
Hill
now?
and
How
Jalen
did that
Waddle.
happen?
Yeah.
You better hope you're right.
I feel mean.
This is one that you and I will get some blowback. I'm with Evan on this. I'll take Miami, but you know how Patriots fans.
How are the Dolphins only favored by
You know
3.5
how
in
Patriots
this
fans
game?
look at these things.
I don't know.
How are they only favored by 3.5?
You watch. Cleveland will win this game 20-17, and everybody's, I thought the Browns sucked.
I would have said 13.5, 3.5.
Tua MVP candidate. I'm saying Miami 2.
Tyreek
Yeah,
Hill.
Freddie as well.
All right. Sunday at 1, another one. Houston Texans, probably the worst team in the league, at the New York Giants.
Giants by 6.5, coming off the bye.
6.5. I still like the Giants both ways. This Texans team stinks.
Yeah.
They stink, Mike.
They're not good. Speaking Paul's language.
Yeah, I will take the Giants both ways, too. I was thinking about taking the points, but I won't.
I was thinking about taking the points, too, but I'm not going to. I think the Giants will win.
Freddie has the Giants both ways.
Sunday at 1, New Orleans Saints at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Gross.
Saints by 2.5.
What a terrible game. I'm going to take the Saints. I think I just trust them more right now to put something together. I just don't know what the Steelers are good at. Like, what's the thing that the Steelers can say, we're good at this? I think nothing.
So I totally agree. I have the Saints, too. So does Freddie. I saw Jeremy Fowler was trying to take teams that are outside of the playoff structure and predicting the Patriots was one of the teams. Totally get it, right? They're like a blink out of the playoffs now. So
He took Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh was one of the teams that you thought, like, what have you seen from Pittsburgh that would lead you to believe that that's a playoff team? So you read the same thing that I did?
No, I didn't read it, but probably just, Tomlin's never had a losing season. I think that's the fact, right? That's the little trivia.
Okay.
So maybe he thinks that they'll get to 500
But
somehow.
they're like 2-6, right?
Figure it out.
So you're looking at 7-2 they'd need to go to have a winning season?
It doesn't add up.
Like, are they capable of going 7-2 the rest of the way?
Let's say clone T.J. Watt.
And that's just to go 9-8, which I don't think will get you.
T.J. Watt is
he's supposed to be playing.
Yeah, either this week or next week.
That's not going to matter. I'm on New Orleans, too. All right, we're around the
unless they have a ridiculously easy schedule, which is possible.
We're at the 4:05 games on Sunday. Indianapolis and head coach Jeff Saturday visit Josh McDaniels and the desperately in need of a win Raiders.
Raiders by 6.5.
So part of me thinks that this Jeff Saturday thing works one game, right, where they like rally around him and they
Patriots fans say, "Oh, it wasn't as bad of a win as you thought."
Yeah, they get a win. But also a bigger part of me looks at Sam Ellinger's tape last week and is just like, I can't see it. So I'll take the Raiders, but I will take the Colts to keep it close.
Yeah, I am right with Evan. I'm taking the Raiders because I just think they're so much better, but I'll take the points because I don't trust whatever's going on in those second halves that they can't score any points. I don't understand what's going on. I haven't watched any of it. But
amazing.
3 17-point leads in 1 year is amazing.
It's amazing how also the tides have turned here locally about Josh McDaniels because like now I feel like we're the boombox, right? Like, please come back, Josh. Where like when he left, I feel like some people had soured on McDaniels locally, and now all of a sudden he's like the savior that we need back.
Come back, Josh. I'm going to take Las Vegas. I'm going to lay the points though.
So is Freddie.
They're going to hammer them. 4:25 Sunday, Dallas at Green Bay.
Dallas by 5.
I like the Cowboys, but I think this is going to be a close game. There's a lot of history between these two teams. I think Aaron Rodgers gets up for playing Dallas. Like, I think that means something to him to play the Cowboys. So I like Dallas, but I think it's a field goal game.
I'm going to take Dallas both ways, and I just look at the way Dallas has played defense and the way Green Bay has played offense, and I can't imagine that this is the game that's going to change. But, at Lambeau, who knows? Stranger things.
I'm with you on Dallas. I'm going to lay the points, too. 4:25
Freddie
NFC
as well.
West battle, Arizona at the Rams.
The Rams could be without Matthew Stafford, and they're favored by 3.
I think they own the Cardinals, right? That's
one of the rules of the NFC West.
That is the NFC West rules.
Yes.
Yes.
What are the rules? Don't go against the rules.
It's tough to pick this one without knowing what Matthew Stafford's situation is going to be.
Who's the backup?
Is it still what's his name? I forget. I can see it.
I can too.
Hear it. Just
gotta hurry.
I'm gonna take the Cardinals. I don't like it though. Paul's
zoned out.
I'm watching the end of this college basketball game.
Something
we have to hurry,
Bellarmine.
Paul.
Yeah. Do they win this game? Yes, they do.
Oh.
That didn't get off in time.
Bellarmine. Something.
No, Bellarmine. They won.
Oh yeah. Oh, they
That's a big upset.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I'm going to take the LAR. Who did you take, Ev?
I took Arizona because of the backup quarterback.
Yeah, I think that sometimes these things that are, doesn't matter. Like they probably are looking at like, well, we finally have a chance to beat the Rams, and then they don't. I think there's something wrong in Arizona. There's certainly something wrong with the Rams. That's inarguable. But I'll roll the dice. Have we figured out the backup quarterback? I can't think of his name.
I don't even know. But
number 18.
I'm gonna take Arizona, and I'm gonna take.
No, it's not number 18. That's Skoranek.
No. Oh yeah.
You took who?
Arizona, and I'll take the points.
Okay.
Two more games to go.
Yeah, and that's the Rams for Freddie.
John Wolford.
Ugh. Yeah, I'm glad I took the Rams.
Darn.
All right, took Arizona. So
see, Fred's going to listen to this back and say, "See, it's 2:00 and they're not done yet."
Yeah, you didn't hurry.
Of course, I watched the whole end of the Louisville game.
Sunday at 8:20, the LAC at San Francisco.
San Fran by 7. That's a big spread.
That is a big spread. I like the 49ers, but I like this to be close enough that the Chargers cover that. I think Justin Herbert, primetime game. I like him to play well.
I'm going to do this. Excuse me. Same thing. San Fran, and I'll take the points.
I'm going to take the Chargers with the upset. How about that?
Wow.
Take the points.
Now that's an upset. Freddie has San Francisco.
And last
Both
one,
ways.
Washington at Philadelphia, Monday Night Football.
Philly by 10.5.
Philly by 1 million.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I can write that in the spot.
You're going to lay the million.
So I am going to take the points. I just think that's a lot of points in a divisional game.
Are you seeing what's happening with the Commanders right now?
Yeah, but as long Taylor Heineke's still going to play. Yeah, the statement today.
They got sued.
Yeah, no.
By the AG.
But that's not. What is that going to have to do with the
whole
players?
organization?
Oh, the organization's a complete dumpster fire. But
Philly by 1 million.
I'll take the points.
All right, that'll do it for us. Stay tuned.
You took Philly both ways?
I took Philly both ways.
Well, you have to make a pick, just so you know.
I did.
Don't be host boy and just avoid the pick.
Somebody's got to keep
facilitating the conversation.
Right. Stay tuned for the playbook. Up next, we will and enjoy your bye week. Get some break from the Patriots. We will see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast.